All right, here we go. Another episode of Steve Lags Unfiltered. I got a really super guy here today. This is not only a personal friend, this is somebody that has mentored me with my personal fitness, helped me accomplish some of my personal fitness goals. This is a really, truly great individual that I've known for a couple years. Stay tuned because I have Russ Yeager here today.
And now, introducing your host, Steve Lags.
All right, Russ, how we doing today?
Steve, amazing, brother. Great to be here.
Great to have you. Hey, why don't you tell everybody who you are and what you do?
Yeah, so I'm Russ. I'm 49 years old. I have 3 kids. I have an amazing wife, and I'm a body transformation coach, have a fitness company. We have some personal training studios in Atlanta and do online coaching with men and women all over the world.
That's amazing. So Russ is 49. I'm 50. Russ comes in. He's like 6'6". He's like 220 pounds. He's like, it makes me look like a midget in here right now. But so like, you know, most people are going to look at you and think that like, hey, that's natural. Like you've always been in great shape. Have you always like when you were young, like growing up, has it been easy for you? Because at 49 to be in such great shape, a lot of people are going to assume that that's just an easy thing for you. You got great genetics.
Yeah, I think that's what most people do. They see somebody that's either super successful, super rich, man, they're lucky. Somebody's got a great body, you know, it's easy for them for lucky. So it's been total opposite for me, dude. I actually do what I do. I grew up the chubby kid, you know, not necessarily fat, but, you know, I'm a tall guy. I could hide it. I was never massively obese, but I had the big spread of fat around my stomach. Right. I hated it. I had to wear the husky pants going back to school. And I always, you know, you're my age. We didn't have internet back then, but I wanted to be like shredded like the guys in the magazines. Right. And I always wanted a goal for whatever reason. I was impressed with the abs and I started running on my own, you know, started getting into lifting weights a little bit. And I got stronger.
Like when? Like
my dad used to, it's funny, my dad had like a wooden bench he made himself in the garage. And he wasn't like super big into it, but I'd start lifting weights with dad, you know. And then in high school, I played basketball, so we lifted. And then I got into college and I really got into it with my buddies. And I started learning about eating. I love to eat. Like I could literally be 500 pounds. I've won pizza eating contests. So when people say, you don't understand how much I love food. No, nobody loves food as much as me. We were just talking about pizza and pie, right? Right. And I was working out. I got decently fit, got into the workforce, got my undergrad master's in accounting. So I'm a CPA by trade. And I was, you know, working long hours, traveling. And, you know, I was 27 years old and I wasn't in horrible shape, but I'm like, man, you never did what 11-year-old Russ said you were going to do. Mm-hmm. And then going back to 11 years old, my parents had a VHS camera, right? You remember those? You know, before we had phones, big as the room, dad's filming me. Russ, introduce yourself. Like, my name's Russ. I like soccer. I was a super shy kid. I love basketball. I love my dog, Rudy. And I, you know, drop my shoulders, look down, and I'm fat. You know, both my parents look at each other like.
Oh, did you say that on
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
I could see it. Yeah. Like, you know, we have those ingrained moments, you know, from childhood. Right. With, you know, you got the intensity and you got the you know, people that are at that point most important to your parents. I mean, it gets ingrained in you. So
how do your parents respond in that moment?
Oh, they look at each other like awkward silence. Yeah. And then finally my mom says the 7 words that, you know, really fired me up. She said, Russ, you're not fat. You're just husky. Right. And she said that because of the husky pants. Right. Right. And I don't know if she was trying to make me feel better or piss me off. My mom was a type A driver. Right. I think she was trying to piss me off and it worked. Mm. And that's when I decided, you know, that, man, I'll show you. Right. I'm going to be the ripped guy. That's literally where it came from. Mm. And so I never achieved it, even though I was in okay shape. So at 27, I said, you know what? I'm going to do this. Mm. So I hired a coach. I entered a physique transformation contest. You know, one of those.
So you hire a coach. Yeah. Like before you go any further than that, because this is a theme that comes up in this podcast is about being coached and mentored. Yeah. Why'd you hire a coach? Like what makes you decide to hire a coach instead of like do it yourself and figure it out? Yeah.
So first 2 biggest things I think if you want to make a change is number 1, you've got to make a decision. Right. And most importantly, a commitment. And then I believe you've got to have some kind of accountability pressure. Right. So the pressure was, I said, I'm going to enter this 13-week body transformation contest, you know, the old before and after pictures. And if I do something, I want to win. So I said, I want to win. Right. So I'm going to hire somebody. So I got the top natural bodybuilder in the world. And I said, just show me what to do and I'll do it. So I followed step by step, you know, trained like a natural bodybuilder for 13 weeks, went from over 20% body fat, you know, again, not massively huge, but very soft, right. Totally shredded, won the contest. You know, people were like, dude, what happened to you? Can you help me? And that's literally when I decided to quit my job as an accountant and pursue this as a career.
So that's when you decided, so you have that success in that event, transform your body. you get coached. So, and primarily for accountability, because they're going to put you on a program and you have that accountability piece. And then you just, I'm going to start a business now.
Yeah, man. And on coaching, people say proximity is the cheat code. I believe in that. Like proximity is power. Coaching is the ultimate cheat code.
Right.
It's the shortcut to get where you want to go.
Right.
You know, find somebody that has done what you want to do and pay them to show you how to do it.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's like that's what happened with me. Maybe like, let's see, it's been about 5-6 months. You know, I had a goal to be in the best shape of my life when I was 50, and I got to a point where I knew how to, as far as I knew what I can do. Like I exceeded my knowledge of what was required to get to the next level, and I couldn't get to the next level. And I was like, all right, who's the one person? Who do I know that has accomplished that can guide me through that? And I was like, oh, Russ. So that's where I reached out to you, and I was like, Russ, listen, this is my situation. This is where I am. And I'm looking, I've got like 4 months left. I want to get in the best shape of my life. This is where I'm at. This is where my target is. And then you're like, okay, no problem. Like, hey, we can do this. But it was about accountability, because not only did you put me on a program, which I learned a lot from you, and I learned a lot of the missing pieces. But the most important thing I needed was every Monday morning, Steve, check in. I'm taking selfies of myself when shirtless and sending it to Russ, because Russ is making sure. Because think about this, it's not just calling and checking into you. It's actually showing you the results, because I can't lie about the picture, right? It's going to show is he doing what he says he's doing? And that's so important, right?
Yeah, pictures don't lie. You know, the scale is an okay indicator. If, you know, if you're very heavy, body fat percentage is better. But you know, what do people care about? How do I look? How do I feel?
That's right.
So yeah, dude, and you're a great example. Like a lot of people think getting a coach, specifically like a trainer, is only like if you're way out of shape and you have no idea what you're doing. No, like all the top athletes in the world have coaches so that they can get to that next level. All top business people, have a coach that can help them, get from a great level and just get that little bit extra,
Yeah, right. And even there, like that incremental change I was trying to make was the hardest part, because that was like, okay, now we're getting into like, hey, you're in really good shape, but you want to be in really great shape. That's harder. That's a harder jump to make, even though it might seem like, well, hey, Steven's got like maybe 4 or 5, 6, well, you told me 10 pounds of fat that he needs to lose. That's a lot harder than all the other fat, because it's now you're getting to the end of it. But it's the same thing in business. Like if a lot of people become successful in their career, in life, and they think they get a certain amount of success, and now they no longer need to be coached. But now those next levels are the hardest levels. Same thing in fitness, right? So if I like come into you totally out of shape, like if I'm right now, I'm 200 pounds. If I came into you 250, it's going to be easy for you to help me lose the first 20 pounds. It's
way easier.
But that last like 5 or 10 pounds are going to be a lot harder.
Yeah.
Same thing with anything else in life, right?
Yeah, so many guys come to me that I want a 6-pack, right?
Right.
Okay, cool. There's a price for that, right? Going from 25 to 20% body fat, we can make some small changes pretty easy, right?
Yeah.
You go 20 to 15, a little harder. Pretty much anybody can do that. You start going to 15 to 10, that's very lean, and that's a bigger price, although it's doable. You want to compete in a bodybuilding contest for whatever reason, get down to 5%. That's insanely hard. So yeah.
And you say the price to pay. Like, what's the price to pay?
Being hungry.
Mm-hmm.
Being hungry. That's the biggest. So that's a lot of people don't realize, like in terms of the actual workout to get lean, like when I have my clients always do strength training. So the 2 types of workouts you do is, number one, something you enjoy. Right. She'll actually do it. And strength training, right? Strength training is the only thing that's going to build lean muscle. You're right. They give you that tone, that muscle, however far you want to take that. It's actually your best fat burning exercise. Every pound of muscle that you build burns an extra 20 to 40 calories a day. So my weight loss clients, I get them focused on building muscle, right? So they can create that long-term, what I call passive fat burning.
Yeah. When you said that to me, passive fat burning, I was like, that is awesome.
Yeah.
Because we all think about passive income, like where we just take money and put it in an investment and we get passive income off of it. And when you said that to me, I always understood that, but I was like, wow, that's really catchy, and that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, you're literally getting, free calories. You can eat more.
Right.
And it's funny, I'll have people that you have to be in a calorie deficit to lose fat, and that's where the hunger comes in.
Right.
And so the faster you want to do it, you can go fast, but then you got to have a bigger calorie deficit through either eating less and or increasing your calorie expenditure. But the price is being hungry.
Right.
And I like to keep my clients moderate calorie deficit, so they're a little hungry, but they're not miserable. Because if you're miserable and starving, you're more likely to go off your plan, right, and overeat, or it's just you don't have to be miserable to do it. But I always tell people, if you're not hungry, if you're not a little hungry, you're not burning fat. Like that is a sign that your body's burning fat. Yeah.
Right. And when you started explaining that to me prior to that, I was like, if I got hungry, I was like, I got to eat. Because I'm thinking my muscles are going to start. They're going to be catabolic right now. Like I need to go eat. I was never allow myself to get a little bit hungry. And that was one of my issues. I was just eating too many calories, even though they were healthy, high protein. I was eating good macronutrients. I was just eating too much.
Yeah. Yeah, and getting down, and again, I'll never need to do it again, but when I get into natural bodybuilding, get down to 5% body fat.
I can't imagine that.
You're having to get, in such a calorie deficit for so long, and your hormones start getting low. So, you're hungry, cranky,
right.
All that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's not fun. So, so you start this business here. So any obstacles? How's that go for you? You're successful, so we'll assume that it was easy ride. Like everything just launched off, and you just
straight right up, man, dude. How long you got? I mean, just like you. I've got war stories, but the biggest thing is I was talking to a guy the other day that's looking at starting his own or buying his first business, and he's got the intelligence, he's got the finances, but he's scared to pull the trigger.
Right.
And that's it's just like going back. You got to make a decision.
Right.
And you got to make a commitment. So I just made a decision. Like, I'm going to do this. And I remember shortly after I quit my job, as I was making what I thought was good money at the time. It was good money at the time. Right. I was a CPA. And, but I was single. I had some money saved up, and, my living expenses were low. So it wasn't as huge of a risk.
That
like
helps.
Somebody that's, 45, has 3 kids and that kind of thing. I know it's different. So it was a risk, but I remember getting interviewed by a local newspaper, and the reporter said, "Were you scared to leave your job?" And I said, "Yeah." But I was way more scared of waking up at 80 years old and wondering what if,
right,
and not actually going for it.
Right.
And dude, I opened my first studio in 2006. First of all, I signed. It's like, how many stories do we want to go? I signed a lease in April of 2006. In February, I was supposed to open in April. We found out right before we began construction that I wasn't zoned for a fitness studio in this shopping center.
Huh.
Luckily the landlord, we hadn't started construction, landlord let me out of the lease, had to find another center, ended up opening in December. So, 8 months, 9 months later or whatever. And I decided that I was going to grow and scale. I didn't even know the word scale back then, but I was going to have 10 studios and, as soon as possible, no real business plan. And so 7 months later, the, law of attraction, opportunity for another studio. There's a studio that was successful as a part of the franchise I'm in, really successful 2 miles from my house.
Are you just doing that to flex your bicep right now?
I am, just to show off. And I was like, man, I'd really want that studio, but somebody already owns that. They approached me, hey, we're looking to retire. Would you be interested in buying the studio?
Right.
And I ended up buying that studio. 3 months later, another one came up, and I bought that one. So I went from 1 to 3 in a year, and I signed the deal on the third studio January 3rd, 2008. Not the best time to be expanding.
Yeah.
And back my first loan, my dad had to co-sign on. I had no idea what I was doing. I had no credit, no history. I was doing well in that first studio. Second studio, I got a loan from the bank, like easy. I feel like it took like 10 minutes. This was pre-2008. Third studio, same thing. And I didn't get, because we were doing well, I didn't get any extra working capital, put in. Who needs working capital when you're making money?
Right.
No idea what I was doing, no real systems. And, we held on and, survived. But, it was my first lesson of, and Brandon, obviously we're in the same group with Brandon. He talks about scale before scaling. Right. So I hadn't, I was probably 60%, maybe, 55, 65% of capacity in my first location, and then I started adding a second and third.
Yes.
And I remember we hit $1 million in revenue a few years in, but my expenses were like 9, 60.
Right.
So I made 40K. And, again, Brandon says revenues for vanity, profits for sanity. So
yeah, revenues, vanity, profits, sanity. So what you're saying is, what you're saying, knowing what you know now, is before you moved to open up a second location, you should have maximized the opportunity in the first location. Is that what you're saying?
I should have maximized it. I should have had, better systems. I should have had an actual plan of how I was going to do it. I should have known the P&Ls better. I mean, so many mistakes.
Right.
I was young and dumb and hungry. Although that hunger, I still believe is the most important thing.
Right.
Because you can have somebody that's, smartest person in the world. They understand all the financials, but again, they're not willing to actually take any action.
Why do you think that some people just are so much? I say this to people, there's nothing different about me except one of the main things is I just want it more than 99.9% of people. What's the difference? Why do you think that is? Why do you think so many people just don't have that determination or that drive to really have an amazing life? Do you think that people just don't take life for granted, or what's the deal?
Man, I ask myself that question all the time. It's like when somebody comes to me, ready to asking, can I help them lose weight or transform their body or whatever? And, I spend time up front, like, are you sure you're ready to do this? And here's going to be the expectation. Right. Somebody like you're my best client because you're already a disciplined guy that's working out.
But we had the same conversation. You were
the same conversation, even with you.
I remember it.
But somebody that's, 50 pounds overweight, they've never had this lifestyle. They're 50 years old. Like, this is a big change. Mm-hmm. You're going to have to change your habits, and you're also going to have to change what's going on internally, all the limiting beliefs that you have. And so I think I think it's getting to a point where you've got a strong enough reason why to change.
Right.
And I don't know why some people do it and some don't. I think it's probably because they don't really know what they want.
Right. And
then they definitely don't know why they want it. Mm-hmm. But once they can find that, it's kind of like if, you're a dad, if, I say, can you go climb Mount Everest tomorrow? Probably not. Even if you could, you don't want to. What if your kids are going to die? You figure it out.
Right.
When the leverage is big enough.
Yeah. So, when you think about, you said Mount Everest is 29,000 square feet. You did equivalent of that hike, right?
I love that. My wife did.
Oh, your wife
I'm going to take credit for it. Yeah.
Shit. But hey, maybe you can catch up to your wife's level of fitness.
So she did an event where it's the equivalent. She didn't climb Mount Everest, but it's the equivalent of climbing it. You climb this mountain. There's different locations.
29,029.
29,029, 13 times, is equivalent of at this particular place in Utah. And I actually I went out and supported her.
Oh, nice.
I rode the gondola down with her each time. And I decided I'm going to do it when I was there. And I said, but I got to get this hip fixed. I've got arthritic hips, the one, replaced and the other hurts really bad. And I said, I'm going to be the first person, listen to this, to do this 29,029 with 2 fake hips. The next week, Emily, my wife, sends me a podcast with a guy who's like entrepreneur, driver guy like us. And he climbed the 29,029 with 2 fake hips. And he's got a book with him holding up. So I connected with this guy. I'll be the second guy.
Yeah, you'll be the first guy that's also 6'6" as well.
Exactly. There you go.
So when you mentioned broken beliefs, what are some broken beliefs that people have to fight for getting into shape and being really fit? Like, what are some of the things that you've got to help clients overcome where, look, this is just a past broken belief you're dealing with. Yeah. Maybe because we're programmed by society or our growing up.
Yeah, I mean, the two biggest ones are, I don't deserve it. I'm not good enough. Okay. And I've been through, training with Tony Robbins and, Chris Crone, and they go deep on the limiting beliefs. And it's like you have your first thing is like, and typically people's first thing, why are you overweight or why are you not making the money you want? And they name because, I don't have time. Or because I'm in the wrong industry. It's an external thing they don't have control of. Right. And then you get deeper. Well, I'm, my metabolism is slow. Still something out of control. Well, so what is it that you can control?
It starts with things that are out of their control.
Starts things out of control, and then maybe it gets to something they can control. But if you keep going deeper and deeper, you actually realize you either consciously or lots of times subconsciously, typically from an event in childhood, I don't deserve this. Right. I'm not good enough. Yeah. And if you've got that playing in the background, even if you don't know it, you'll get to a certain level and then you'll sabotage yourself.
Right.
And I noticed that with myself. Again, I don't know exactly where the overeating, probably eating disorder came from. It's never been diagnosed, but I mean, like I used to binge, and even when I was a fitness guy, I mean, I'll share this. Once I won that contest, I got in shape. I set my new standard of I have to be shredded all the time.
Right.
And so during the week, I would eat super clean. And on the weekends, I'd allow myself to have a cheat day. That's kind of a normal plan, fitness people. But my cheat day turned into like a gorge fest, eating as much as humanly possible.
Right.
Felt like crap, on Monday, big and bloated. And I'm like, my standard is I can't not be shredded. So I would eat way, way low calories during the week, do tons of cardio. Felt like crap during the week.
Okay.
And so even though I looked great, I was
you weren't healthy.
Not healthy.
Yeah.
And I finally got to a point where I said, this is not working. I started having kids. I was like, I want to be around. I want to, feel good. I want to be healthy. It's more important. I don't want my life to revolve around the gym, working out, 4 hours a day. And I want to eat real foods because I like them. And I still want to have abs. So I became obsessed. Can you have it all? And the answer is yes, when you have right strategy, right plan. So for me, like one of the beliefs I had to change was I can eat whatever I want. And that might sound weird. I tell people that. They're like, oh, you can eat as much as you want.
Explain that, because I know this about you. Like where how can you do that? Like when you say you can eat whatever you want, like right now, some people can take that the wrong way.
They can take it the wrong way.
So like how can you be totally healthy and fit and still be able to eat a lot of the food that you really like and get the same and get the results?
Yeah. So here's what I mean by that is when most people when they try to lose weight, go on a diet, whatever, I can't have this.
Right.
Well, if you can't have your favorite thing, it's only, you want it so much more.
Right.
It's just human nature. And then if you decide to have some, especially if you're in that big calorie deficit,
then you're going to go eat a lot of it.
Right. You're going to go crazy. When I said I can eat whatever I want, whenever I want, it's a freeing feeling. It takes that pressure off.
Right.
It doesn't mean I'm going to eat, bad stuff all the time, because guess what? I honor my body.
Right.
I'm going to make intentional choices, and I'm going to decide if I want to have that piece of pizza, then I'm going to have it, and I'm going to fit it into my plan.
Which your plan is what? Like X amount of calories and macronutrients, right?
Yeah. So my plan is getting, right amount of calories and right amount of protein in order to have my body look how it wants to look.
Right.
And then getting most of those calories from healthy, nutritious foods. A lot of people talk about, I eat healthy. That's the biggest thing. I'm talking to people, 30, 40, 50 pounds overweight, obese. I know I need to work out. I eat healthy. We don't need to talk about that. Like, well, okay. Well, number one, you're eating too much, or you wouldn't be overweight. And eating healthy, doesn't equate to having a good body, because you said it earlier, you can eat healthy foods, but you're eating too many calories.
Right.
And this is one of the secrets of bodybuilders. Like if they know how to manipulate their calories and their macros, which is just the protein, carbs, and fat, 3 types of calories. If you can do that, you can eat bacon and donuts and be shredded.
Right.
Literally. Now, that's not going to be healthy, because then you got the micronutrition side, which is vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, phytonutrients.
Like in that case, you'll look healthy, but you might not actually be healthy.
So you could get your macros right, look great, be unhealthy. You can get your micronutrition right and be healthy, but not look good.
Right.
So my whole model, Steve, is to say, hey, 85% of the time, 80, 85%, 75%, whatever your number is, eat the healthy, nutritious food.
Right.
20 to 25, eat whatever you want without labeling it good or bad, without saying, oh, I messed up. No, you're fitting in, and it's part of my plan. But 100% of the time, get your calories right, get your protein right. And that's a plan where you can look good, feel good, be healthy. And most importantly, and you can, a lot of people say, well, is intermittent fasting better? Eating every 2 hours, not eating after 6. With that formula I just described, low carb, no carb, all of those fit under that framework.
Right.
So I tell people, pick the one that you're most likely to follow.
Yeah.
Make it easy on yourself.
That's right.
And most importantly, is sustainable for the rest of your life.
Yeah, right. And that's a couple things, is that what you described is it's sustainable. So it's something, it's not a diet, it's a lifestyle, right? You end up like, how can you change your lifestyle and how you're eating healthy and affect your lifestyle? Not like, I'm going to go on a diet, I'm going to do something extreme for a month, and then I'm going to come off of it and you'll probably just go back to your normal lifestyle, right?
Yeah. If you can't do your eating plan for the rest of your life, it's not a good plan.
Right. Yeah. See, your plan's also so simple too. because like the idea of like, hey, you just got to get your micronutrients right and your macronutrients right and your calories, and then you're good. Then, and you have flexibility within that. It's pretty simple. You don't have to like, oh, I have to make sure that I have 0 carbs, or that by 8 o'clock I don't have any more meals. Because one of my biggest me personally, since I was a kid, when I was a kid growing up, right before I went to bed every night, I would have like this huge like meal of milk and cookies. I was a skinny little kid, so I could eat whatever I wanted, right? So I always have that. Like one of my biggest meals is before I go to bed. And being able to still do that and fit it into like the whole entire day, it works for me. But like it's so satisfying because I'll wake up in the middle of the night hungry, and then I'm probably gonna go find something bad in the kitchen and eat. So I have to have something that I'm full. But your plan allows you to have that flexibility. It doesn't like say you can or can't do this.
Yeah, the meal timing, it matters, but not nearly as much as people right. think. And again, it gets into doing what works for you. Like I did the whole eat every 2 hours, little mini meals. Right. For when I was natural bodybuilding, that works. But like you're never starving, but you're never satisfied.
Right.
So I would rather, if I have 3,000 calories, I would rather fast throughout the morning, have some black coffee. It's much better for business too because I'm not having to worry about eating all the time. I eat 1,000 calorie lunch, which is nice, keeps me going. Then I eat a giant 2,000 calorie dinner. And I'm still in a calorie deficit.
Will you do that some days where you'll have
most days?
Where you just have a couple 2-3 meals?
Most days. Now I work out first thing in the morning, so I will eat. I do a protein shake, and then I'll eat after that. So I'm probably having three meals a day.
Okay.
But and I have people. I think you're a every 2 hour kind of guy.
Yeah,
right?
like I'll eat like 7-8 times in a day. I'll just like all these little micro meals.
And if I was going to get back into natural bodybuilding, I think there's a slight edge in doing the every 2 hours for maximum muscle and minimum fat. But I think the difference is so small for me at this point. Like I'm not competitive. The lifestyle of being able to not have to worry about packing all those meals and eating 2 big satisfying meals a day and getting, very similar results works for me. And not eating at bedtime, like right before bed's another, don't eat after 6. No, like you could literally, if you knew 2,800 calories was a deficit for you, you could eat fast all day, eat 2,800 calories, go to sleep, immediately after, and you're still going to lose fat.
Yeah.
The only reason maybe not to eat right before you go to bed within a couple hours is it does mess with your digestion. So it's going to affect your sleep. But from a fat loss standpoint, it doesn't matter. I know I just had something pop in my mind. Like this is a business podcast. So there's probably some people watching like, yeah, great. I know I need to be healthy.
Yes.
But tell me how to make money.
Yeah.
And what I tell that's the biggest challenge I have with entrepreneurs, business owners.
Right.
I know I need to get healthy, but I will someday. I'm too busy growing my business.
Right.
And so, first of all, I asked them, and I steal this from, I heard Bradley say it, which I'm sure he stole it from somebody else. Like, I think he uses $10 million, but let's just take it up a notch. If I gave you $1 billion right now, you'd probably be pretty happy, right? Mm-hmm. What if I said, in order to take it, you can't wake up tomorrow?
Right. Oh, yeah, I've heard this.
Nobody take it.
No.
So it shows your health is number one, but that's an extreme case. But I help business owners realize like working out needs to be on your business plan. Like imagine if you had an asset in your business, that was worth $1 billion or more that, was responsible for everything. Would you run it 24/7, redline it, never do maintenance on it, hope and pray it doesn't break down? And you are your business's most important asset. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we put systems in place. Yeah, we put leverage, but you are the leader of your company. And if you're not running at full speed, you're not going to maximize revenue. And when you are, when you get, I told you it takes 3 months to change your body. If you do it the right way, transform your body, 6 months to make it a lifelong habit, but you're one workout away from, walking in with more confidence, a different man or woman, where you have what I call that magnetic attractiveness, where people are attracted to you. They want to do business with you. They want to work harder for you. They want to be around you. Your guy earlier asked him, what was it about, Steve? He said, well, it was the culture. It was the opportunity. But I guarantee you, it was that magnetism, that health, forget about what you see. That's a whole nother story, but just that energy, that magnetism. Yeah. And then fair or not, when you walk in and you are a fit, healthy person, especially at our age, that gets attention and it gains respect.
Yeah. All right, Russ, man, awesome having you here today. Like, seriously, this guy is awesome. Russ, I appreciate you so much. Tell everybody how they can reach out to you, my man.
Yeah, awesome being here, Steve. Appreciate you, bro. They can reach me at russyeager.com. They can reach me on Instagram, Russ Yeager. And if your audience wants to get a copy of my ebook, Live Longer, Feel Better, and Look Great Naked, they can get that at freenakedbook.com.
And how do you spell Russ Yeager for the people listening?
Russyeager.
Russ is awesome, man. Hey, listen here, guys, make sure that if you're listening, you give us a review. If you're watching this on YouTube, give us a like, subscribe to the channel, and put your comments and questions, and we'll make sure that we'll respond back to you. Russ, man, awesome having you here today.
Awesome being here, brother. Appreciate you, Steve. All right.
That's all for today's Steve Lags Unfiltered Journey. Subscribe, rate, and leave a review to fuel your success journey. Also, be sure to listen to us on your favorite podcast channel or outlet. Stay tuned, stay unfiltered, and we'll catch you on the flip side.